We are now joined by Dex Machida, Automotive Lead at KPMG South Africa, and he joins us via our video link. Dex, thank you so much for joining us here on SABC News. 5.2 million, or billion rand rather. What does this all mean for South Africa?
Well, good evening, and firstly, thanks for having me on the show. So I think when we consider the investment that's been made by Ford, it being 5.2 billion, as you've highlighted, it is really a vote of confidence by the automotive industry that there is really an opportunity here in South Africa to be able to, for foreign entities to invest into the country and to be able to create the sorely needed jobs that we are looking for. And I think another point to highlight here is really around the fact that they're specifically making these investments to looking towards the new energy vehicle sphere, which is, from a South African perspective, a very much needed step in the right direction due to the fact that, and it was highlighted in many news channels up until now, most of our exports that we do today is being sent to the global north, and those markets are demanding these type of products. So we do have to position ourselves to be able to make sure that we are future-proofed.
And this investment, Dex, what does it say for a nation like ours that has a high unemployment rate? Surely that we can see a number of jobs here being created, much needed jobs, I must say.
Yeah, I think this is without a doubt, because on the one side, it's going to be about how do we maintain our legacy auto industry to be able to ensure that we do still provide fossil fuel-based vehicles, which will still be needed for the foreseeable future. And I think in parallel, it's also about making the required investments to future-proof our country. And I think it's through that future-proofing and the investments that is being made with the likes of Ford that is going to start creating not just new jobs within the legacy value chain, but within the new value chain. Because I think as we're looking towards hybrid vehicles, plug-in hybrid vehicles, and even battery electric vehicles, it's going to require new types of skill sets and new types of people to start joining the work. And I think that is really the great opportunity here.
And I was coming to exactly that, Dex. Do we have the capabilities and the skills to build hybrid vehicles like this investment has just shown us?
So the building of hybrid vehicles in South Africa isn't something new. There are already other automotive OEMs who are involved, like, for example, Toyota down in Durban. We've got the likes of Mercedes-Benz in East London. They already do produce the hybrid vehicles, primarily for export though, but they do produce it. And what that tells us is we already have the required skill sets, at least in part, in order for us to be able to participate in the manufacturing of these vehicles. I think the question here, though, is what is it going to mean for our manufacturing and production of battery electric vehicles? Because that is still, even globally, a relatively new space. And I think we do have to work, with the private sector, academia, but also with government to be able to enable our young people to start gaining the type of skills that's going to be needed in order for us to be able to participate in this value chain.
And manufacturing is very important to, any economy around the world. And when it comes to this manufacturing sector right now and this investment, what does it mean for our country's economy, and especially an economy like ours, which finds itself struggling at the moment?
So once again, I think I did highlight in the beginning, but this type of vote of confidence is really important for us. We need more of these type of investments that's being made by global entities coming into our country, creating those new jobs, those new economic opportunities for the different regions. And I think, if we touch on the point about where the automotive industry is very active within our economy here in South Africa, Gauteng, there's a significant presence. KwaZulu-Natal is another area, and then East London, meaning the Eastern Cape, is going to be another area as well. And if you start looking at those type of areas, especially around Eastern Cape, where there's a lot of people are facing significant challenges, not being able to access economic opportunities. And I think these type of investments will allow for those regions to be able to gain and build the type of jobs that is going to be needed in order for our young people to participate in our economy. So I think it's really important, but it's really important that we continue to push this message forward through our governments to make sure that South Africa is open for business and any sort of investment that global entities are looking to make, this is the place on the continent that we should be looking to do it.
And Dex, we hear this every year from the president when he holds that investment conference, saying that South Africa is open for business. Would you say this is actually a result of that?
I would say in part it is, because at the end of the day, the message has always got to, start from the top. And I think, our president is the one who has got to be the messenger, delivering the message to say that we are keen to do business with all of these different entities. So I think, the efforts that the government has been putting in and messaging and making sure that globally people do understand that is one component. But also at the same time, I think the realities on the ground is something that, we do also have to get right. I mean, our electricity challenges that the entire economy has been facing for years now, that is one of those areas that investors would be looking at as an example. The availability of skills is another area too, where if you're going to be building a factory or any sort of an operation, the question is around there, how are they going to be able to bring the people in to build those vehicles? And it's going to be, those type of questions that investors are going to be asking. So yes, on the one side, I think the president has been doing a good job in doing the messaging, but I think there's a lot more that we can do on the ground as a whole to ensure that South Africa itself is going to be the attractive investment destination, if you can put it that way.
And Dex, where will these vehicles be manufactured? I mean, which province gets to benefit from this cash injection?
Well, if we're looking at Ford specifically, they've got a engine building plant down in the Eastern Cape, I believe, and then here in Gauteng, which is where I'm at as well. They've got the plant here building the Ranger. So I think the investment is primarily going to be within those areas. And if we also look at the automotive industry footprint, it is primarily focused within the three regions, which is your Eastern Cape, your KwaZulu-Natal, and your Gauteng. So the type of investments we're going to be looking at will primarily flow into these regions.
Yeah.
And I think any future investments that people are going to be looking at will most likely be in areas where there's a port potentially, which along the coast, especially on the eastern side, is quite attractive. And then there would be, for example, special economic zones, which is also another consideration as well. Hence, I guess the Gauteng part comes into that.